Welcome to Bleav In 76ers with your hosts, former 76ers point guard Eric Snow and two Sixers fanatics in Marcus and Teja Dash. Bleav In 76ers is presented by BetOnline.AG.
BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BLEAV50, that's BLEAV50, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bleav In 76ers podcast. I'm Marcus Dash here with legendary point guard Eric Snow and my brother Teja Dash. So last time we saw each other, we were excited about the season beginning. We're still excited, but I don't know. I feel like the 0-2 starts took a little air out of our tires. What do you guys think?
It definitely changed the enthusiasm and excitement from our last show. Yes.
I'd say it shifted to
we played some tough opponents, but we shall see in this conversation.
Yeah, definitely more frustrated. But at least we're not throwing our hands up going, what is it? We'll talk about the things that are what it is. You know what I mean? It's pretty clear what the problems are, but yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll talk. But the only thing that bothers me is the fact that we have the slow start, and then like the conversation that we hate, the ones that, Doc's on a hot seat. You know, Embiid doesn't like playing with Harden. We're already starting to see those narratives now, which I thought we would have waited till at least like midway through the season to hear that kind of nonsense. But I guess we're getting it started now.
Losing is always going to bring up whatever narrative people already have. Want to amplify it. So you want to end those narratives, you got to win.
Yeah.
That's the same.
What would you rather have? Those narratives and drama and shit happening now or at the end of the season?
I mean, at the end of the day, I want to be able to get past the second round. So all the narratives and drama really don't matter to me.
So I mean, have it happen now, get over it. And
I mean, if it happens in the end, it could take you into the playoffs. If it happens now, you know what I'm saying? It could, give you a horrible seed. So it's really no good time to have it. It's just best to just go without it.
Yeah, or it's, the guys in the locker room just they know what's going on. Just mute the outside noise. But all right, so our first topic is going to be talking about the first two games of the season. So 0-2 start after an offseason where everyone thought we were going to come out right out the gates hot. We did have two tough opponents though in Boston and Milwaukee. But my question to you guys is, what are your top four reasons why we lost both games this week?
I'll just give one, and then Teja can give one. My first one is really consistency. Like I don't see any consistency as far as how we're going to play. I'm not sure. Are we going to be a running team? Are we going to be a slow it down, go through the post? We're going to be a pick and roll team. We've done a lot, so to me, it's not really defined yet how we're going to establish as far as our style of play. It might have been established, and we didn't do it as much during the game, but if you look at the game, it was like it's different. 1 minute we're running, 1 minute we aren't, 1 minute we're ISOs, 1 minute we're pick and roll. Like I just don't know.
Now, I will say before giving a reason, my first reason, and I said this to you last night, Marcus, we did play two teams that are not only really good, but they're pretty much the same teams they were the last season and previous seasons for Milwaukee. Yeah. They're missing Middleton and Connaughton, but that's been their team. That's their core. That's their guys. They don't come in with any mysteries. Like that's their team. They know how to play together. Boston knows how to play together. That's their core. They're missing Robert Williams, but that's the team they had last year to go to the finals. So we're like a brand new team. We have 4 guys brand new to our rotation. That's a lot. Our entire bench is pretty much new. We didn't even play the guys that were there last year. First reason, there's a lot of sub reasons within this one. I'm going to say defense looks. I don't know where to begin. No communication, poor switching. Embiid looks slow. No one to guard wings. Nobody. Zach Lowe's fears about why we're going to get our asses kicked in the playoffs. Exactly what happened. Brown and Tatum, we have no one to guard either one of them. The only guy we possibly do have is Thybulle, who's played about 17 seconds worth this season. So he can't see the floor. No wonder they didn't give him that contract because they don't think he's worth it that much. So, you can't even see the friggin' floor. Killing us on fast break points. They're running us off the floor the way like Miami did. A lot of work on defense. And I was going to ask, with this many new players, Eric, defense suffers more than offense, right? Because you have to rely on knowing each other and switching and communication. Is that fair?
Defense usually comes first.
Defense usually comes first.
Defense usually comes first because it's more of a really it's the effort, the consistency, and the whatever system you put in. So buying into that system, so it's easier for defense to break down and you make an adjustment. So if you play in the pick and roll, you practice the guard the pick and roll. You may blue, you may ice, you may switch, whatever they call it. You may trap.
Mm-hmm.
So you practice all of those ways and you kind of see what's the best way for the team. Then you see what's the best way for the opponent. What's the best way for your players, the players that are involved. But it's sort of consistent with how guys are playing on other teams. So when you have that, it's easier to adjust because a lot of it isn't really new to a lot of people. But offensively, it's a lot of the plays aren't new to guys, but the style of play and the personnel is new. So it takes longer to kind of move that along, especially when you have the new players like we do. So from that standpoint, offensively is tougher and takes longer.
Yep. Which segues in my next one. Then you could do your next one. Too much ISO ball. That's my other one. So we are saying sort of same things, and that's why I didn't really want to say 4 because I knew we would probably say some of the same stuff. So I had the ISO and the defense. The one thing I will say that I find to be very interesting is it's a lot of hesitance. A lot of guys are hesitating, especially in the reserves. I thought Melton was very hesitant in game 1, more aggressive in game 2. Yes, a lot more aggressive. Yep.
And some of that is leading me to what I think is sort of an issue and not a surprise at the beginning of the year is defining roles, true definition of roles. I'm not sure that people went into the season, as far as the players went into the season and knew who we're going to play and knew how much they were going to play. To me, it didn't really, we all thought Thybulle was going to play. He played in the preseason, but he didn't play at all.
Yeah.
And, you have Montrezl Harrell play, and he's the first backup. The next game, he's not. But then the second half of that game, he is.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I think that definition of roles is something that'll take time, but I do think that it's gonna have to be a little more defined. And lastly is, we got PJ, Tobias. Can't think of his name. That plays behind Tobias.
House.
No, not House.
Niang.
Niang. I'm sorry. Niang and House, all the same player. If not all the same player, playing the same way, used the same way. To say what you said before, Teja, one of those guys will have to be pulled for a wing defender. They're played the same way. Like the way that we play them, they're all playing like small ball.
They're just corner shooters on offense.
Small ball fours. They all are played the same way.
Yeah.
But we're playing small ball fours at 3.
Yes. Which I said to Marcus is funny because Daniel House is about Jaylen Brown's size, but he moves like a power forward.
But his best years, he's been powerful.
Which is fine, but we're trying to put him on one of the elite wings.
No, I understand. I think Daniel House is athletic enough that he can do it. I'm saying from a standpoint.
Not all game though.
Well, I mean, he can do it while he's in there. He can guard Jaylen Brown. I mean, Jaylen Brown is very loose with the ball. I mean, like, come on. Tatum, that's maybe
Maybe he could, but he certainly didn't.
4 2 than 3 is Jason Tatum, but Jaylen Brown's more 3 and 4 than 2.
Sure.
So, and the way Boston was playing, Jaylen Brown plays some 4. So if we can't guard Jaylen Brown, then we can't beat Boston.
But he was scoring on just pull-ups and turnarounds.
On everybody though. But
didn't matter.
Jaylen Brown also plays some 4. So the guys that are guarding him at 3 would be the same guys guarding him at 4.
Yeah, because we're playing a bunch of small ball 4s for 3.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So it's the same guys. So we can't guard him at 3. We can't guard him at 4.
Mm.
Which means if we can't guard Jaylen Brown, we can't beat Boston.
That's because these guys are 4s who are playing 3 when we need to get a 3 who can sometimes play 4. We need the opposite guy. We need a guy who leans 3.
I'm just saying, the way that we're using those guys, they're all played the same way. So, for example, you take Melton, Maxey, and James. They aren't all the same. All the same position, they aren't all the same. But Niang and Tobias and PJ and House, it's not like one of them. It's not like we're giving one of them the ball out top like Draymond Green to say initiate the offense. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we're Tobias. I think we can give him the ball and tell him to score.
Yes, Tobias can
use him like that.
But we're not. We're saying you're a catch and shoot guy now because we have too many guys.
The way that we're using Tobias is no different than the way we're using those other guys. That's why Tobias will have a 14-point half and then score 6 points the next
hardly shoot
6 quarters, and even because he don't get attempts.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, but that's all about defining roles, and I do not know. Like I've told you guys all summer, we talked about Maxey increasing his. Well, I'm like, okay, well,
yeah,
because who's going to drop then if he's increasing so much? It's just not enough shots.
Drop or become incredibly efficient, which James has been, but other people have not been. So it's like everyone's got to be really efficient with the shots they get good shots, get good quality shots with the 10 you get or the 12 you get.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't been very lucky. My other one is third quarter droughts. I don't know what it is. Do we not talk at halftime? We've been outscored by every single third in the last, I don't know, I think last third quarter we outscored our opponent was Toronto. Miami outscored us every single third quarter, and we got dominated the last 2 third quarters. I think we lost. In
my opinion, in third quarter, you touched on it. So the one thing that you said was the key was our defense and our defense approach. The biggest, probably the hugest as far as defensive quarter is the third quarter, because that can take you to that fourth, where we all know fourth is just basically a 12-minute game. I mean, most people can play that, maybe the game slows down a little bit, you make some adjustments, but that third quarter can get away quick, and boom, before you know it, it's over.
Yeah, that's how we lost both.
Yeah, so
you give us a 4-point deficit going into the fourth.
If you getting stops, your offense can suffer. But if you have that low offensively and you're not getting stops, before you know this, you don't have those 2 quarters to be like, okay, well, we still got 2 more quarters in the second half to make up for it.
I almost feel like And this happened a little bit. I'm not going to compare us to the Miami super team or all the other super teams that are figuring it out together, right? Yeah. But I get a little of the sense that we know how talented we are, and we're almost waiting for that to become the deciding factor. Like, oh man, we're just so talented. We're going to win this game. We have to get this together. We have to pull through this. We're going to get it together. We're going to score like 120 points. Like, look at our lineup. Look how many guys we have. Like, this is going to work. Yeah. You have to make it work though. No one wins on paper. No one wins.
I mean, but the one thing you got to you look at the super teams or whatever they call them, the super teams, and you look at the most recent with Miami and Golden State. Those two teams were both good defensive teams.
Yes, they were. Yeah.
So, that has to be a huge priority. I mean, that was the difference with those teams.
But we have plus defenders on our team, though. That's the thing. It's not like it's a full offensive team. We targeted.
Yeah, I know, but you're as strong as your weakest link. That's always the saying, and that's very true. If you have to make adjustments for guys or guys struggle with certain things, I mean, you're going to be as strong as that. So I think
defensive player who doesn't get on the court.
So. I think that we can be a better defensive team, but some of your offense helps with that. Your turnovers help with that.
Yes,
so, that was the other reason I had listed.
So we'll play better. We'll do better, but it was disappointing. With the two teams that we played, Boston, I kind of was like, okay, well, gave a good effort third quarter. So now, they played well and they're at home. Tough to play there. But the Bucks game, without Middleton, and even though Giannis is Giannis, I mean, still, if you look at his numbers, he had a great game. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he really dominated like I've seen him dominate.
No.
So they took him out a lot.
Yeah.
And they got that lead, but when we came back, I was like, "There's no way we can lose this game." And then it was just like we were okay just to come back, and then boom, you come back, and all of a sudden they give us a couple of jabs, and then it's over.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a chance in the end. I mean, even though the last play did go off Maxey's fingers, but but at least, I mean, we got to get a better look. We got to. I know they said on TV that Maxey was open. If James would have threw that to Maxey, would have been a steal. If you look at the play, because that's what you taught when they go and they switch. The guy that was guarding James is taught to go right back to that other guy, so he would throw it right into his hands.
It's frustrating,
but at the end of the day, game 2. Maybe we'll talk about it later. Go ahead.
And we'll touch. My other reason is Embiid, but we'll touch upon that in another topic, I think.
Yeah.
Do you think with what we've seen so far, do you think Matisse should be getting more playing time, Eric? To have a defensive guy in that lineup playing more than
I thought that he should have. I don't understand the reason why going into the season for a guy that was a starter for you most of last season.
Could zero.
And then you play him, and he has his situation in the playoffs. To now, he's not even in the rotation
at all.
I didn't view PJ as taking his place. I just because I still see PJ more as a forward and a 3. Just me. I think Thybulle was more of a defend 3s and 2s than 3, and PJ's more of a 4 and 3.
Even 5 sometimes, yeah.
That's kind of how I viewed it. So I thought that PJ was more of would be hard for Niang to get on the court more than Thybulle.
Yeah.
Or more for, if they brought in House, I didn't expect to see House, Niang, and PJ playing, and we have Tobias. I expect to see 2 of them and Thybulle. To start the season.
Especially against Boston. Boston baffles me more than anything because
start the season.
You couldn't try him against Tatum or Brown for a couple minutes? 70 combined points? You couldn't find a couple minutes to just, hey, we're getting killed. We have no answer for their wings. We have no one to guard them. Let's put our best wing defender on them for 2 minutes. See how it goes.
Obviously, they didn't have him. He wasn't going to be and supposed to be in the rotation for whatever reason, whether it was his camp or whether it was his contract situation. But he wasn't in the rotation, and I don't know when he'll ever get in
Yeah.
there.
I don't know.
So I'm just saying that it may not have to be him, but I'm just saying, like, from a wing perspective, guard perspective, we play 3 players.
Yeah.
We play 3 players. We don't play shape. We play 3 guards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, all the rest of those guys are 4 and up with some chance to play 3. But if I'm going to the season, I just Tobias and PJ, I didn't see them both as I see them both as playing some 3, but I see them both as the majority of their minutes not being 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I view it.
Yeah. Well,
so
we're going to get into more of kind of the roster makeups and kind of the lineups that we had on last night, even and later on the show. But the next one, so last night after the game, Kenny Smith said, after watching both games this season, he thinks that Harden might be better suited being off ball, and that way he can be a scorer who passes instead of a passer who scores. What are your thoughts on that statement, Eric?
So if he's off, who's going to be on?
Maxey.
Maxey.
He basically said he said at this stage in Harden's career, because he took the ball up in Houston, but he was a little more fast paced in Houston. Now he's a little more kind of like dribble it up slowly type of point guard, and maybe we'd be better suited to go and have him off ball so he gets the ball and does his damage real fast, or someone else can bring it up faster.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. The reason why I don't agree with that is James is not going to run up the court like Maxey does. He's not going to run and get those extra possessions where he's attacking before the defense is set. That's not going to happen. That's not the type of player he is. That's not the type of player he was, and that's not the type of player he will be. That's not who he is. So not only are you asking him to do something totally different. What I think we need to do is, and I've said it before, taking the ball out of his hands more, but not necessarily making him the wing. But yes, there are times when I've said it tons of times that Maxey should be bringing the ball up the court. Melton should be bringing the ball up the court, even when James is in the game. Being more catch and shoot, playing more off the ball, coming from behind the defense to score and attack. Yes, I agree with that, but I don't think it should be a full-time thing. But I've said it before, like, yes, it should be done. But I don't think just moving him totally off the ball, that I don't agree with that.
Yeah, because I don't think that's – I mean, you want to try it? Sure. But even though he has, I've seen him be passive. Even in the first game, he was thrown to Tobias, take the ball, and I saw it a lot, actually. I was like, he just – it's the plan for him not to take the ball up for the next few minutes. You could just tell that's the plan. But that's not our problem offensively. I mean, James has been phenomenal. I think working on him not being our point is just – maybe the 5th thing that we should try to wake our freaking offense up.
Then I think that kind of impacts, the way Maxey's used too. So if Maxey's waiting for an outlet, he's not getting out, putting pressure on the defense. So,
yeah.
I mean, you got to understand a lot of, sometimes people are making things about the Sixers watching that one game, watching 2 games. You know what I'm saying? Where we watch all the games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So perspectives can be different if you're not watching every single game.
Yeah.
Those guys from TNT, I mean, they watch so many different games, and they have to focus more on the games that they have in hand.
Mm-hmm.
That from the outside looking in, if you don't watch every game, or if you're not dialed into what they do and the changes, I can see why you would say that. I just don't agree with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I heard that comment. I was curious. Wanted to ask you about that. But sticking with Harden though, I guess those workouts he was doing with Cassell and those mid rangers really has paid off because he's knocking down those middies, man.
Oh, yeah, I've told you guys since he arrived that it's he had to shoot them because they're there. He's older and he isn't as fast and don't accelerate as high as he used to. But the way that they're playing him, they're giving him that mid-range shot. So just take it.
Yeah.
He's taking it and he's making it. So it's also like the floaters is a mid-range shot. It's not a layup.
Mm.
So all of that stuff like that, to me, that's been the biggest difference is his willingness to take those shots. So he's not going in traffic and throwing his hands up if he don't get a call. He's just going and taking the little mid-range shot or short shot and punishing teams. So I'm excited with that. Hopefully he continues to play that way.
And it'll open up and give him easier threes again because now teams are worried about him stopping, him popping, him driving.
Yeah, they were pressing him to go one way and try because they felt he wouldn't shoot the mid-range shot.
Mm-hmm.
So they were stand on, basically give him a path and then help at the rim. And then now all of a sudden, if he's taking that shot, they'll be more inclined to shape up. And if they shape up and step back on the move, then it'll open up threes.
It's actually crazy to say this with how accomplished of a scorer Harden is. He's opened up a new part of his game at this stage. Like, it's crazy.
And that's the thing about it. That's why I always said it wasn't anything that I felt he couldn't do. It was just
didn't do it.
Scheme and him just not doing it.
His comfort level, I think. He just wasn't used to because they said, Houston.
Because you were told for so many years and you were so dominant and you were told not to do it, then
lay up or three. Lay up or three. Yeah.
It's like the guys when I played, like people say you guys weren't great 3-point shooters, and we didn't work on them because we weren't asked to shoot them.
Mm-hmm. He's the opposite. He was told either 3 or layup, nothing else. Yes. Do not waste your time with anything inside the arc.
Yes.
So, but which I understand, and obviously it worked for a long time. I'm not going to say it didn't. He had incredible historic numbers, but defenses over-adjusted. Now they're just giving you wide open 8 to 10 footers. Like you have to adjust to that now. You can't just be like, you know what, screw it, play me like that. I'm still going to jack them up. That's just dumb. So it took them to take a step back and be like, dude, they're there. Just take them. And you know what? Kudos to him for realizing that and doing it. It's great. It's going to save him so much energy to try to get open for those threes or to do a layup all the time. It's going to be great. He's and correct me if I'm wrong from anyone in our comments or whatnot. 16 of 22 from inside the arc.
Wow.
Like he was 12 of 17 one game and 4 or 5 in game one. That's crazy. That's the efficiency we're talking about. He's being efficient. He's making the shots. I think it's great, man. I can't wait for this. This is a lot more of scoring James than I expected. So all those under 21s and 22s that we were talking about before the season, shit, man. I'd say at this point he might, if he, I'm not even gonna say continues this because it's a crazy pace, but then again, it's James Harden, so he has done this before. I'm looking at anywhere from, I'd say 25 to 28 points a game now from him. If this is, it's indicative of what we're going to see as far as him being in shape, that first step in his mid-range game.
Interesting.
Would you guys say Harden's back?
Yeah, I think he's back, but it's a long season. I've seen guys jump off and score 30-some points a game and end up averaging 22. So,
and I thought about that too, Eric, because we saw an explosion in one of those Miami games where he was hitting like 50 footers, like nothing, and it was like, oh man, he's back, and then he went back to not scoring for 3 quarters. I think it's a little different this time though, because it's not that he just got hot from 3, because he didn't shoot well from 3 yesterday. I believe he was 1 for 7 or 1 for 8. He shot poorly from 3. And usually for the past year, that means he was going to have a really, really bad game if he shot poorly from 3. But
I don't really see, I think he got hot and he started making shots. But I think if you think back to last season when I was talking about James going into the playoffs and what he needed was the timely takeovers, the timely getting aggressive, the timely making plays and shots.
Yes.
And I still feel that's what he'll be. So I think he'll have those games where, like the last game, he just took over and all of a sudden he got this. And I just think he'll have those games where it's not necessary. So he'll have fewer points.
I hope so. For his sake.
But if you look at the Boston game, I think he only took 14 shots. I mean, they fouled him on 4 threes. Mm-hmm. He had what, 13 points or whatever from that?
Yeah.
13 points from that.
And he was only 4 or 5 inside the arc. So yeah, he didn't have to shoot that much.
I think he's playing well and he's going to continue to play well. I just think that his scoring burst will not be that high because I just think that when other guys have it going, he's going to pull back quite a bit, this year. So I just don't see how you can stay up at that level. I just don't think he really that's the way he wants to play anymore, where he has to score that much for us to win.
I prefer not to be that way too. I'd rather have 26 and 10 or 12 than 35 and 7. Yeah. Less energy too for him.
Yeah.
And getting others involved.
And I will say it was nice to have Harden take over when Embiid was having such a bad game. Because, in years past, if Embiid has a bad game, that's it. There's no coming back for us. We were able to do that with Harden. That's the beauty of having him on the squad. So it was nice to see that pick me up from a teammate.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But on that though, so the best lineup of the night, it was probably the most fun to watch actually, based on the way Embiid played last night. But the best lineup of the night was Harden, Melton, House, Harrison, Tucker. So a little small ball action that was kind of fun to watch. That was where we got that comeback. It looked like Houston Rockets ball a little bit.
Houston lineup.
Yeah, the fast break points in that spurt was unreal. But my question is, because I saw a lot of hate on social media about people were pissed off that we subbed Embiid back in the game. I think it's funny. Sixers fans were mad that Embiid got subbed back into the game with 4 or 5 minutes left. But my question is, should we have stuck with that lineup that we had, or was Doc right to sub the second half scoreless Joel Embiid back into the game at the time that he did?
He's going to always put that guy back in. He's just, whether it's right or wrong, that's what you're going to do. So, if we're saying that, we putting him back in is not going to help us win, then we're wrong about him. But we can't say that he's our MVP candidate the last 2 years and he should have won, and now going into the season in game 2, we'd be like, nah, I'll stay over on the sideline. It just don't make sense.
Maybe not for the rest of the game, but maybe give that lineup another minute or two because they were playing so well. They were on a 12-2 run with that 5 on the floor. And then with Embiid, he came back in, he fouled, missed a 25-footer, missed a 19-footer.
I know, but I can see if you sub in 3 or 4 or 5 guys, but if you're saying that team goes on the run and we put our best player back in the game and that's a bad thing, then that's a bad thing for us.
Yep. Yeah. Well, not many games does Embiid go scoreless in the half. I think it's only – was it his first time going scoreless? I think it was third, maybe second time.
Yeah.
That was rough. It was a rough half, man. Which goes back to what we were saying earlier, because it's like we were not expecting Embiid going scoreless in the second half to be the reason why we lost. But that was a really fun lineup. I felt like a lot of switching was capable with that group because it was a bunch of those guys that you say play the same position. They were all out there together at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was just saying, man, switch. We can all pretty much guard the same kind of guys. They don't have anyone really big in there anyway. So it worked pretty well, actually. I would not be surprised if we saw this more in the future, especially if, Embiid comes off the floor. We need that burst.
What did you make of that lineup, Eric? Were you a fan? Was that kind of an exciting lineup in there?
Whatever's going to help us win, man. I'm not really, I'm not going to trip on who's in, who's out. Let's just win the game, man.
Yeah.
Let's get a win.
But it's nice to have a small ball lineup to be able to.
I mean, everybody you have to have a small ball lineup to go to because it becomes necessary at times.
Yes.
At the court, shoot it, pick up your defense. So to be able to have that kind of group that we know we can kind of work with and go to definitely helps.
Yeah.
Because we haven't really had a lineup like that, and I mean, I can't remember. Because last year we didn't have that with a guy who could play, like a Tucker who could play at kind of 5 and 4. I mean, we weren't putting Paul Reed out there for that.
No. And before Harris came back in, that was the all 5 Houston lineup.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
When Harrell was in there instead of Harris, it was all 5 Houston players.
Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of alluded to Joel Embiid. So obviously all the talk about Harden coming back and being back into shape and getting right. It looks focused and ready so far this season. And it looks like just so far right out the gate that Embiid kind of looks like the one who is the more unprepared one for the season. And at times he looks lost. I mean, Sixer fans are booing him. And you don't really see Embiid get booed a lot at home.
Nope.
And so all offseason, we kind of talked about how we don't have to worry about Embiid. The only thing we have to worry about is him getting injured during the season. But going into the season, you never have to worry about him. Are you kind of worried about Embiid? Because it looked like he was kind of hesitant a little bit yesterday. And that's something a lot of talking heads were talking about today, the hesitancy in Embiid, which is kind of worrisome.
Well, I mean, I said it going into the season. It was like the preseason. He looks like he looked in the preseason.
Yeah.
It is preseason for him.
Yeah, so people missing games and they only play a couple games, and you're missing games, and then when you do play, he looked like this.
Yes.
So I don't know. My thing is I don't know why. Why is it that your conditioning is down? Why is it that are you injured? Like, what is it? We had a whole off season. What is it?
Apparently he had plantar fasciitis in the off season.
Okay, there we go. It's something. Because he's not right.
I think it's funny it's coming out now, but
it's coming out now. Yeah, I didn't hear anything.
No one heard about any of it. Of course not.
That's what I'm saying. So I did say going into maybe our episode going into the season that I'm like, okay, well, I ain't looking the preseason. I don't know. And I'm seeing that same player.
It looked like the regular season for everybody. It looks like preseason for him.
He doesn't look dominant. And not focused. And not from a talent standpoint. It looks from a
mentality.
Exhaustion.
Not really like it's a conditioning, but not a conditioning from being out of shape, but a conditioning from the conditioning that it takes to consistently dominate. Mm-hmm. He settles. I thought he settled on shots.
And a half step too slow on decision.
On the perimeter more. Like he's chasing down balls. He's doing stuff. But I just think there's something going into the season wasn't right. And like you can hold guys out in the preseason all you want. But at some point, they're going to have to establish that, hey, I'm here.
Yep.
I can see it. So where I expect him to be better and get better. It's not surprising based on what I've seen in the preseason.
Yeah, it's like he's working through preseason kinks in the season. It's very like NFL.
I have to wonder how much he actually practiced.
Yeah.
To me, it looks like he didn't miss the preseason games, but he missed some practices as well. We would never know, but that's how it looks to me.
It's even more indicative when you look at the 5 without him and how good they look. It's like, man,
they look the spark and the energy, but I just think so that could be
and chemistry too.
That could be some of them not being used to playing with him.
Yeah, no, totally. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, but those are all new teammates themselves.
But they also have to play differently when Joel's in there. They're more stand guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they're more movement guys. They're more movement when he's not. So some of that is the style of play that you have to use based on when he's in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they could probably do a combination of still some of that when he's in there. But, it's easy for guys to just be like, okay, I'm just stand over here. We got 3 guys, 4 guys that's going to score. I'm just here. So,
Is that part of the problem of having such a top-heavy team? Like you have so many guys who are, who heard Doc's pecking order, 1, 2, than everyone else.
You say that, but Golden State has won 4 out of the last whatever championships having a top-heavy team.
Yeah.
Top-heavy guys are really, really good, though. And they defend. And everybody define their role, and they play.
That's a big difference.
They play. So you can say that, but people have shown you that it works. So I think
but one of their best players is a glue guy, though. We don't have one of our best players is not a glue guy.
Yeah, but I'm just saying they still have top heavy guys as far as like last year they had.
Yeah.
Or the year before that, I was including KD.
That team. Okay.
I wasn't even including Draymond, Clay, Steph, and KD. Those 3 guys alone. Then of course, a Draymond is a different guy.
Yeah.
To have him, it's not a lot of those in the league.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of the stuff that he does, but it can be done. It's just I just think at the end of the day, we are probably from a group and taking time and how much we're gonna need to get everything together. We are not further along than I expected us to be.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Should we be worried about Embiid long-term wise this season, or no? He'll get right.
No, he'll come around. I just unless some kind of injury is worse than we've been told. But if it's not that, then he'll definitely come around. It's just
he's behind. I just think he's like 3 weeks behind everybody.
I just think that his camp was probably more limited than we were led to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel like he's behind. It's like when you watch like NFL players who like skip the camp and then come in that they're just not right the first couple of weeks, and all of a sudden they look like themselves again. I get that sense from like Embiid that he's just 3 to 4 weeks behind everybody else, and come December, come late November, he'll look like how everyone else looked. And you got to remember, man, James has always been someone who used the season to get into kind of basketball shape, right? But he didn't do that this year. So James came out of the start like firing, and Maxey's Maxey. So it makes Embiid look that much more kind of inept and lost, that these other guys are like with it. Like, you're not with it, dude. Like, we're playing 4-on-5 out there sometimes, which is pathetic when you think about that.
Yeah.
You know what it looks like? When Embiid looks distracted by an injury?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like he is. Like, we've seen in the playoffs a lot where he's always looking at his finger and he's not focused because he's so worried about the mask or the finger. It looks like he's playing with that now. It looks like he has a mask on, like almost out there. Like it's really weird to watch because he's kind of half step slow on decision making. Like he's bobbling the ball, he doesn't grab it. Like it looks like there's a delay on my TV. But only Embiid. It's not everyone else is full speed in real time. Embiid's got like a glitch, a delay by about like a quarter of a second. It's frustrating because we know he's so much better than that.
Yeah. Well, Skip brought up a good point. It's something I thought about when I was watching Skip Bayless. I'm not usually a Skip Bayless fan, but he's rooting for the Sixers this year, which is beyond me. But I was watching the Undisputed this morning, and he had mentioned something that I thought during the game last night. That pass that we said that actually went off Tyrese Maxey's hands, which we ended up getting the ball. But it looked there that was just a kind of a silly pass, and the fact that there wasn't confidence in him to kind of back to post up or even take that jumper on his own. It was kind of just a lackluster decision for him to do that. What did you think about that, Eric?
Well, I think that if he goes and he makes a play, so if he's making a pass to someone, it's because he's been double or triple and he don't have a shot, or it's a clean pass and catch and shoot for somebody. Otherwise, you play. Yeah, he needs to be more aggressive on that. I think he would know that.
Yeah.
Think about that. He sat there and watched that 5 we talked about earlier, the Houston 5, come back and look great. You'd think he'd be like, all right, wait till I get back in there. Wait. He comes back in there and shoots a 19 and a 25-footer. that's it the rest of the game? Like, after all that, sitting there watching, like, your teammates dominate without you on the floor, you think you come back in and be like, all right, I got 5 minutes. I know I'm not conditioned, but I got 5 minutes to just tear up the middle and the paint and dominate for like 5 minutes.
You could also be pissed off that he was sitting there and only had 5 minutes.
Well, I mean, you can't be pissed off when you see the result that we came back. It's like the proof's in the pudding, dude.
I'm just saying, man. I played in that league for a long time. I'm not saying that's what he did. I'm just saying.
Possibility is what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, and different players, right? They react differently when they're pissed off.
Just
Some guys
saying.
kind of get.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and him in his past, actually, watching Embiid, when he gets pissed, he actually kind of gets like disengaged and like doesn't care. Like he cares less instead of being like, all right, I'm going to take this out on you, Brook Lopez. Give me the ball. Watch now. He's kind of more of like a whatever. Okay. So,
yeah. And Lopez did block him a few times around the rim last night. That was
yeah.
I'd be furious if I was Embiid. Well, hopefully, the next topic is our final topic. We got a couple of get right games coming up this weekend. We got tomorrow and Monday. So the line hasn't come out yet on the Pacers game, but tomorrow night we play the Spurs, and we are a 13.5-point favorite at home against the Spurs. Fellas, is this a get right game? And what do you guys have in this one?
Yeah, blowout. 15 plus.
Yeah, that's a blowout. Especially with a high spread like that after we've choked.
Yeah.
15 plus.
Yeah.
All right. And then
won the game. Haven't won the game. We won't pull guys early. Yeah. 15 plus.
Now, let me ask, would you be, I wouldn't say upset. A win's a win, right? But what if we won by like 5? Would you be like, man?
No, I wouldn't be upset.
Nah?
If you win the game. No.
What if we lost?
Yeah, I'd be disappointed. Yeah.
Okay.
If we lose that, the people who we told to take the 50.5 over are going to be coming for us pretty soon if we're losing that game. And then Monday we have the Pacers. I Bleav that's also at home. I think both games are at home. Yeah, both are at home. Indiana, the line hasn't come out in that one yet, but I have to imagine we're going to be a heavy favorite in that one.
And no Miles Turner.
And no Miles Turner. Is that you guys have a win in that one as well?
I have a win, but I don't see it being a blowout. I just think the style of play that the Pacers come to, some 3-point shooting and push the ball, good guard play. Like I said, they have a few guys that can shoot the ball. I don't see it like the Spurs game.
I do think, we're supposed to blow both teams out. I do think one will be a blowout, one will be closer than we want it to be.
Yeah.
We're not playing that great. So, it's the NBA. Like, there are a lot of talented guys out there. So just because you're not playing one of the best teams in the East doesn't mean you can't have a play down to your opponent game, which we do a lot. So.
Well, we're playing against the premier opponents. I mean, you're going to have to win a game and blow somebody out, I mean.
Yeah. I'd like that very much.
Yeah. Hopefully that happens. And I will say some Sixers fans who weren't that mad about the Embiid's performance yesterday were saying, well, at least we chose the right guy, because if you look at Ben Simmons in Brooklyn after his first game, you were taking the win on that one on Embiid.
There you go.
The win on both ends, Embiid and Harden. Because look at Harden.
Yeah.
All the people that were saying we didn't win that trade. What?
Yeah.
I mean, Harden looks great. And it worked out.
Yeah. So,
but we were not counting on this. So let's just say, if our season hinges on Embiid getting it right, mentality wise, and wanting to dominate again, I'm pretty confident he'll right that ship.
That's a good sign that's what we're counting on, is Embiid turning it around, which he will. Because Harden looks phenomenal. So if we're just relying on Embiid to turn it around, I think we'll be fine. And lots of things to be excited about with the team, even though with the 0-2 start, but lots of things to be excited about. So
for sure, yeah. I mean, people that were predicting us to go to the second or third round, they said it would come down to is Harden going to be a third team NBA player or a second team NBA player? So right now, I mean, he's looking. It's extremely early, but leaning toward the higher end on that one. So, that was most people's make or break for our season, as far as analysts go. It was.
We'll see.
What Harden will we see?
80 games left.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, fellas. Well, that does it for us. Thanks for tuning in to Bleav In 76ers, presented by BetOnline. We'll see you guys next week, where we'll be 2-2 the next time we see each other. Knock on wood.
Whoa, don't jinx it.
Sound good to me.